The most powerful companies today own nothing of what they sell. Uber owns no cars, Amazon owns no stores, Alibaba owns no inventory, and Facebook creates no content. And Airbnb owns no real estate. What do these companies have in common? They control the connection between buyers and sellers, but carry none of the costs of providing the goods or the services. Airbnb is a platform that has transformed the hospitality industry, allowing people to rent out their homes or even just a room to travelers around the world. In the past decade, we've seen Airbnb expand exponentially from a simple idea to a multi-billion-dollar company. In another video, I compared the Airbnb business model to dropshipping and Amazon FBA, but in this video, I compare it to SMMA, or social media marketing agency. As you all know, SMMA has been a very popular business model online for a while, and the allure is undeniably strong. Managing social media accounts for businesses, driving up their sales, and seeing your efforts bear fruit. But let me tell you this, for most people, the reality of running an SMMA isn't as glamorous as the online hype makes it out to be. The big money usually goes to those teaching the model rather than those actively running the SMMA business. Sounds familiar? It's like the old tale of the gold rush where the ones selling the shovels made the most money. I spent a lot of time researching these business models, and I think it's time we took a deep dive into the world of SMMA. So it all starts with fun and games, building campaigns, managing client accounts, watching those numbers climb up. But then the challenges creep in, ever-changing algorithms, skyrocketing competition, and the uphill battle to keep the growth curve of your clients on the rise. And before you know it, you're in a whirlwind of constant client churn as your clients wise up to your tactics and find cheaper alternatives abroad from another country that can do exactly the same job as you. That is the reality that they don't tell you. Growing pains. Now let's talk about the growth trap that you probably face running your SMMA. Let's assume you're doing great and you decide to scale up. Now you're faced with two unappealing options. Either bring in more staff and face the daunting task of training them, or take on more clients yourself and risk burning out. And trust me, the burnout is real. And let's not forget about the demanding clients, the ones who give you a hard time expecting magic from your strategies overnight. It's these harsh realities that make so many throw in the towel. Scalability. Scaling an SMMA business usually means getting more clients, which translates into more work. However, scaling an Airbnb business is as simple as adding more properties or rooms. You can serve more customers without significantly increasing your workload. When my Airbnb started doing well, I just rented a couple more properties and I listed them. Instant scaling. But if you try to scale an SMMA by taking more clients, you end up stretched thin, working 14-hour days. And for those who are already running an SMMA, you probably know what I mean. Sure, there's a few that strike gold, but that is a small percentage. And to reach that level, you need a certain level of skills that most people starting out just don't possess. You need to master the art of sales, to make enough capital, to reinvest in hiring your team, and not just any team, but a team of 8 players. And that means you need to be a pro yourself in order to spot what talent is. So you also have to be a good recruiter, and then you need to be good at team building, or they will leave. And on top of all that, you've got to stand out in an oversaturated market with competitors offering the exact same service as you. Whereas with Airbnb, no one else can offer your specific property, location, or experience. You already have a unique selling proposition just by existing. So in essence, to run a social media marketing agency successfully, you gotta wear multiple hats. That of a salesperson, a recruiter, a marketer, all while running your own business. But even then, there's a limit, a ceiling to how much you can earn before your service quality takes a nosedive. Time investment. Managing social media accounts for multiple clients can be time consuming. You need constant monitoring, tweaking ads, creating content, analyzing metrics, and more. Whereas with Airbnb, once your Airbnb listing is up and running, it requires relatively little time on a day-to-day basis. Sure, there's some maintenance, some communication with guests, but nothing that eats up all of your time. And also, you have to remember the type of clients you get with SMMA, they're paying you to work for them, so they expect you to keep performing. Whereas with Airbnb, they're usually on holiday or busy working, so they won't be breathing down your neck the same way as an SMMA client might be. Usually, the clients are in a more positive mood when they're on holiday, so it's very informal. Whereas with SMMA, there's a more professional, formal relationship that you need to keep with your clients. Startup costs. Running an SMMA requires a lot of investment upfront. You need to invest in software, marketing, maybe even hire staff if you don't know how to carry out service. So if you don't know how to run ads, you're already at a disadvantage if you're hiring a media buyer and you've never done ads. And if you carry out any other service which isn't performance based, you're probably not going to make enough money. Not to mention the time you need to spend learning about social media algorithms and targeting and of course outreach. With Airbnb, your startup cost is minimal. If you already have a spare room or a property, you're good to go. Now, when I started with Airbnb, I just took some nice pictures of my spare room, put up a nice description, and I was in business. The difference in startup costs and time saved is pretty drastic. And after that initial setup, it's usually just steady income. I didn't have to constantly keep up with trends or spend all my waking hours strategizing about how to beat some ever-changing algorithm. I didn't have to worry about client churn. I didn't have to do any outreach. Nobody likes outreach. I didn't have to hire a media buyer, and I didn't have to learn Facebook ads. And the best thing is, I could charge quite a lot more simply because people are willing to spend a lot more for a place to stay than you can realistically charge for an average monthly client retainer for an SMMA service. And to my favorite part, let's talk numbers. In the SMMA space, the profit margins are usually pretty thin after you pay your team. On the other hand, once you have your Airbnb up and running, as long as your place is decent and clean, you'll consistently get it booked with a good profit margin. Customer acquisition. With an SMMA, you're constantly hunting for new clients. It's a never-ending cycle of pitches and proposals, and you'll be sending countless cold emails, and maybe even attending networking events to land clients. But with Airbnb, get this, the customers come to you. No cold emails, no pitches, just people looking for a place to stay. And that's because Airbnb comes with a built-in customer base. Millions of people use Airbnb to find accommodation every day. By now, you're probably asking, how regular is the income? Well, if you've been running an SMMA, you probably know that it involves irregular income as it's project-based or depends on the number of clients that you have at any given time. Plus, you never really know when a client decides to leave you. With Airbnb, especially once you've racked up some good reviews, you can have a more predictable revenue stream, making it easier to plan and reinvest into your business. And here's another thing. With SMMA, you're constantly at the mercy of social media platforms. And one small tweak in the algorithm and boom, your marketing strategy can tank. If a platform starts charging double for ads or organic doesn't work anymore without paying for ads, you've got to change up your plan. But with Airbnb, you're dealing with market fluctuations and seasonal demand, but you're not living with the threat of your entire business model disappearing overnight. And if Airbnb does disappear, guess what? People still need a place to live, so you can bet your place will get filled regardless. Let's talk about work-life balance. If you're an SMMA owner, you're always on the clock, always dealing with client issues and constantly hustling for more business and constantly doing outreach with 97% of people who are not even responding, which can be demoralizing and such a waste of time, preventing you from doing higher leverage activities to move the needle forward. Whereas the autonomy and freedom that Airbnb offered me is unparalleled in my experience for a relatively easy business model. So there you have it, guys. I'm not here to bash SMMA or glorify Airbnb, but from my experience, I believe you are more likely to succeed long term because you don't need as many advanced skills as you would to successfully run an SMMA. With the Airbnb model, it's more sustainable, more scalable, and offers a better work-life balance. And I believe at the end of the day, that is what truly matters. But hey, these are just my experiences. Obviously, both will work if you put in the work. So if you found this info insightful and you want to hear a deep dive about other business models in upcoming videos, like and subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments below if you want to cover anything specific. And with that, catch you all in the next video. Thank you.